I used EFT to try to get over it. Well, in just a few minutes of doing the tapping, I got over the heart pain that I had for all those years. And so I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've never seen anything like this work so fast and so quick. Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel, where we talk about the law of attraction, how to manifest anything you want, meditation, and more. In this video, we're going to deviate from the normal thing that we do, which is listen to an audio clip of Dr. Joe Dispenza and then talk about it. Today, what we thought we would do instead is to talk about other energy healing modalities, in particular one called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And the reason why we want to do this is because a lot of us don't have the time or the money or the energy to go to one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's workshops. They're 7 days long. They cost a couple $1,000s, and that's not including, your own travel expenses. So it's kind of expensive, and a lot of us don't have the time for it. Plus, if you're like me, you like to do things on your own. You want to, if you are into the self-help world, you want to do the self-help thing. You don't want to be dependent upon a group in order to get the results that you want to get. And so what I have discovered is that with EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, you can get benefits right away, like almost instantly, within minutes. Because with the meditation, the meditation is great and it's fantastic because it helps people to really become who they really truly are. It helps you to get into your vortex or get into your flow or get into that vibration of who you really are. And that's where all the magic happens, right? And so with the meditation, that's what it does. It helps you. What you're basically doing is you're raising your vibration to who you really are, and then these magical things can happen. Well, EFT works a little bit differently, but at the same time, kind of in the same way. It's like a different tool. It's kind of a different tool. It's an energy psychology tool that we all can use that works really, really well. Sorry, I'm holding a pyrite crystal right now. I don't know why. I want more abundance. That's why. Anyway, so what we were thinking of doing was starting a little bit of training on EFT on this channel to help everyone to perhaps in the interim, before you make it to the Dr. Joe Dispenza workshop, have something to keep you going. Like, think of it like this. Even though it's not really this way, think of it like this. Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff is like the graduate school level. It's not that EFT is a lower level, but it's kind of is, because it can help you with everything else. It can give you the experience and give you the results much quicker, much faster, and easier. It may not be quite as deep in some ways, but it can be if you know how to use it right. So personally, I think EFT is a fantastic tool. I think everybody should learn how to do it. There's no reason why you shouldn't try it. I'm going to teach you how to do it for free. I'm probably not going to have time to teach it on this video, but perhaps in another video. And we'll mix it up. Sometimes we'll have a Dr. Joe Dispenza video, and sometimes we'll have an EFT video. And that's going to help us all to kind of like keep moving along. Because the worst thing that can happen is that somebody like just gives up because they try to do the meditation and it just gets too frustrating because you don't get the results. And honestly, an hour a day, that's a lot of time to take out of your day. When you consider that you only have 8 hours of time per day to get your work done, typically, right? An hour is 1/8 of that time. So other experts like Abraham say basically that you don't need that much time. You don't want to meditate your whole life away, right? But I don't want to denigrate what Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying either, because he makes it sound like, and I do believe that this is true, I've gotten there sometimes too, he makes it sound like people get into the meditation so much so that they don't even really care about the rest of their lives. And that's, I don't think that's really where we all want to go. We want to basically get to the place where we can take what we get from the meditation out into the world, right? We want to take it into our normal lives. And that's why he has people open up their eyes during a meditation, right? So the idea is to use EFT as kind of the bridge between where you are right now and where you want to go. Now, EFT was created by this guy named Gary Craig many years ago in the 1990s. And he got it from this other guy named Dr. Roger Callahan. Dr. Roger Callahan was a Western taught psychologist. And he had this one client. This is how he discovered TFT, which is thought field therapy. He had this one client who had a bad fear of water. She had the fear of water so badly that she couldn't even get near a body of water. She couldn't walk by a pool without freaking out. She couldn't go to the ocean. She couldn't stand in front of the ocean without panicking. And so Dr. Callahan tried all different kinds of methods and nothing was working. Well, he was open-minded enough to say to himself, well, look, if this isn't working, maybe I should look into some Eastern healing methods instead. And so that's what he did. So he started studying acupressure and acupuncture, mainly acupressure, I think. And he learned about all these different energy meridian endpoints on the body. And he was fascinated by that, right? So the way that it works, I'll just sidetrack a little bit here. The way that it works is that there are all these different energy meridian endpoints on the body. And with acupressure, what you do is you put pressure on those points, and it's supposed to give you physical relief and sometimes emotional relief, right? So he came up with this idea. Dr. Callahan came up with this idea to try to help his client that maybe what he should try to do is to have her tap on these different energy meridian endpoints. Here's one right here. There's one on the side of the eye. There's one underneath the eye. There's one underneath the nose and on the chin. And there's a bunch of them. I'll have to show you all of them at some point. And so he asked her if she would like to try this new method that he was experimenting with. And she was like, sure, yeah, let's try it. Let's do it. So they started to do, he had her think of the fear that she had with the water and tap on the different points at the same time. And she was just going something like this fear of water, this fear of water, this fear of water. He had her go through the whole process. Didn't take very long. She immediately gets up from where they were sitting and she runs over to she says something like, oh my gosh, I think I'm cured. And she jumps up and she runs into the bathroom and she starts splashing water all over her face. Well, Dr. Callahan said that she then ran down to the local pool. I guess there was a local pool where they were working, or maybe I think he was working out of his house. It was his own personal pool. And she was standing so close to the edge of the pool, he was worried she was going to fall in. So suddenly she's like, oh my gosh, I'm cured. So he knew that he was on to something. So he started up something called thought field therapy, TFT. Gary Craig was the one who took thought field therapy, and he was a student of Dr. Roger Callahan, and he basically took thought field therapy and he created EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Apparently, this is what I heard, is that he paid Dr. Callahan a lot of money in order to get the rights to and his blessing to call it EFT. Gary came up with the brilliant idea of just making it a lot simpler, because regular TFT had these very complicated algorithms of you got to do this and do that and do this and do that. And it all had to do with where were you going to tap and the order of the tapping process and that kind of thing. And so he came up with the idea, why not just tap on all the points and not worry about that and just move on, right? So that's how EFT came about, Emotional Freedom Techniques. So my story is that back in about 2005 is when a friend of mine found out that I was becoming a life coach, and I was going to Coach U University, which was the best life coaching school that there was at the time. And he said, Steve, if you're going to become a life coach, you've got to learn this thing called the EFT. Well, I'm the kind of person who will download something like that. And that's what I did. I downloaded the ebook right away. I read like all 87 pages of this thing in one night. And I started to tap on myself for it because I'd gone through a divorce in about 1999 or 2000, and it hung on to me for years. And I felt a very heavy heart feeling. I felt a lot of anger and guilt at the same time mixed in there. Just very upset about what happened through my divorce, because we had a couple kids and there was just a lot of really bad things that happened. It was my dark night of the soul, right? And so to try to get over it. Well, in just a few minutes of doing the tapping, I got over the heart pain that I had for all those years. And so I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've never seen anything like this work so fast and so quick. So like literally the next day or a couple days later, my youngest son, who was 8 years old at the time, came up to me and he goes, Dad, I just hurt my knee really bad. He was like really wincing badly, and because he was playing and stuff, and he'd fallen, and he's like, what do I do? Should I put a bandage? I was like, well, normally what I would do is I would get an ace bandage and wrap it up, right? So I said to my son, hey, what about this new energy healing technique that I just learned? Would you like to try this out? And he said, sure, Dad, let's do that. Let's try that. So I did it with him for, again, a very short period of time, just very directly and very basically. I didn't even hardly know what I was doing, honestly. And he goes, wow, it's totally fine now. He jumps up and he runs off like nothing had happened. So that was when I was really feeling like, oh my gosh, this is something very special, and I've got to learn a lot more about this. The next thing that happened was my older son, who was 14 at the time, had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and I helped him get over that. And then my aunt heard about it, and she was like, oh, can you come over here and help me get over my back pain? She had pretty bad back pain. And again, within minutes, I helped her get over that. And she was basically dancing around in the kitchen. I'll never forget that, going, oh my gosh, my back pain's gone. Then she pretty much forced me to work because it was late at night. I wanted to go home, but she was like, can you please work on my daughter? And so I worked on her with her for a few hours. And so I've had all of these experiences with EFT. And I thought at the time, because I was already into the law of attraction, right? I got into the law of attraction in about 2002, but when I was becoming a life coach, and I learned from the granddaddy of them all, Abraham, which is Esther Hicks, and they were in the original movie of The Secret, but they were removed because a lot of people could not handle the fact that she was channeling information from the other side. If you're listening to the Dr. Joe Dispenza information, you're probably not going to be too surprised that we all have an inner being or a higher self, and we can connect to that inner being or a higher self at will. That's the whole point of all of this work, is to get to the place where we are being our true selves, connected to our inner beings. And when you're connected to your inner being or your higher self or source energy, it's all kind of the same thing, a little bit slightly different. When you're connected to who you really are, don't have any negative thoughts, right? You are happy like all the time, and you are excited about life, and you're passionate. And I mean, I'm even still working on this, and I've been working on this for a long time. And I think the earlier or younger that you get into this work, the easier it is for you to change your old habits. Like an older person like me, it's kind of hard to change your habits, even though I've been doing it for like almost 20 years. But so that's the idea, is that we're going to start I'm going to start teaching you guys about EFT, how to do it, and how to integrate the law of attraction along with it, and also how to use meditation as in conjunction with it as kind of a complementary thing, so that we get all three of those things working well together, right? So I'm also a trained life coach, like I said, but to be honest, I got out of coaching because I was more interested in energy healing than I was in life coaching. But I have the training behind me for that. I just didn't get the degree at the time. So that's what the plan is for the channel. I hope that you like this idea. I hope that you can get a lot of benefit out of me helping you to get to the place where you want to be now and do it quicker. And what I'm thinking is that you can leave comments below about what it is that you need help with, because that's what it's really all about. It's about me being able to help you guys in all areas of your life.